The government is expected to put a handful of new destinations on the green list tonight. Ibiza, Mallorca, Malta and Madeira could all end up being quarantine-free, while the double jab could enjoy even more travel freedoms.
Fantastic. So they're about to become rangers.
Earlier in the day, the Prime Minister was out on manoeuvres, with the fight over travel moving from the domestic to the European front.
The real opportunity we all have now is to open up travel through the double jab. And if you look at it, we've got more than 60% of our population have now had 2 jabs. I think 83% or something have had 1 jab. We're really getting through it now. But I've got to stress one thing to everybody. I don't want to cast a pall over things. I want the travel agency to bounce back if it possibly can. But this is not going to be a summer like every other summer. It's going to be a more difficult summer to take a holiday.
The Prime Minister has been under huge pressure from holidaymakers and the beleaguered travel industry. But the moves today will only add to the growing tensions brewing in Europe. On the continent, the rise of the Delta variant is seen as linked to Britain, and Angela Merkel has pressed other European countries to join Germany and quarantine arrivals for the UK for 2 weeks.
The pandemic isn't over, in particular in the world's poor countries, but in Germany and Europe, we're also still on thin ice.
And here's why she's worried. This is the Champions League final on the 29th of May between 2 English teams in Portugal. And here's what happened to the proportion of COVID cases that were the new Delta variant. 50% or more of Portugal's cases were recorded as Delta, compared to less than 15% in France. In the UK, currently, Delta makes up more than 99% of new cases. And while infections are surging in Portugal and the UK, in many places across Europe they're falling, with the number of people unvaccinated still high, making the threat of a new surge particularly acute.
To be not careful now could endanger all the success that we have achieved. The increase in hospitalization is a warning signal.
You reject the idea that that link has been broken?
It still exists. So the link is no longer as strong as this was in February.
But it's not broken.
There is an increase, and that is a cause of concern.
Dr. Lisa then launched a blistering attack on UEFA. Currently, the Euro semi-finals and final will be held at Wembley, with the capacity increased to 60,000 for the event. This has provoked huge anger across the EU.
UEFA is putting a lot of pressure on letting even more people in.
Is that a mistake?
It's a serious mistake. And I would ask the British government to oppose. It will endanger people's health, and UEFA should support people's health and not put it in danger.
Do you think the UK government is acting irresponsibly?
I think UEFA is acting irresponsibly. And I'm against giving professional football a special rule, because it's unfair and it gives also the wrong signal, as if there would be no problem. They get already privilege and still they're asking for more.
But for thousands of UK travel companies, privilege is a distant shore.
It's been very, very hard, physically, mentally, very tiring. Very challenging, because you've always got to be thinking about what's next. The policies are changing constantly. They've been a disaster, really. In 2020, 9 out of 10 bookings were cancelled.
Whatever the government's hopes for opening up were, the rising backlash from Europe proves that sometimes, even with the best will in the world, you end up going nowhere.